It means that in your family line, you might be the first person to actually be obedient to God. It might be. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be. Or you might be the second person. Maybe God is looking for someone in your family line who will be obedient to God. But when you go on the line, after Noah, there is Shem, there is Apazad, Selah, Eber, Peleg, and the Bible doesn't talk about their faith, but only says, Eber lived for this number of years and died, and he gave birth to this and that. But when you get to Abraham, the Bible stops at Abraham and talks about the faith of Abraham. It means that in your family line, you might be the first person to actually be obedient to God. It might be. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be. Or you might be the second person. Maybe God is looking for someone in your family line who will be obedient to God. When you look at all the genealogy after Adam, just a few people, the Bible stops on their names and says that this person was faithful to God. This person obeyed God. That person obeyed God. And when you look into Genesis chapter 11, you realize that the father of Abraham, who is Terah, was actually the one that the promise was for. God wanted Terah to listen to what God wanted to say to Terah. So the Bible says Terah took his family and they were heading to Canaan, the same Canaan that God asked Abraham to go to. Terah was the one that the promise was for. But the Bible says on their way to Canaan, they stopped in a place called Haran, where his son died. His son was also called Haran. And Terah lived there and stayed there. In other words, Terah could not finish in his obedience walk with God. He could not finish the race. And that is why God allowed him. You see, God is such a wonderful God. When God calls you and you say that, oh Lord, I am not ready. I don't think I am ready to follow you. God will not, he will not impose his will on you. God doesn't do that. But God will wait for your offspring. And wait and see if your offspring will listen to him. That is what happened with Terah. And I believe that that is the same thing that happened with all the patriarchs that were mentioned in the Bible, from Adam up to Abraham. And Abraham was the one, when you look at all of them, Abraham was the one who really obeyed God. And that is why Paul reminds us that Abraham is our father in the faith. In that Abraham is one of the first, or the first, to really obey God and walk with God exactly as God wanted him to. So Abraham wakes up in the day and only wants to listen to what God has to say.